Welcome back to the Brooklyn Book Festival here at Borough Hall, Brooklyn. My name is Carlos Abdu, and here is James Romberger, the illustrator and writer of Post York. How are you?
Good.
Can you tell me a little bit more about Post York, this post-apocalyptic comic book about a flooded New York?
Well, basically, I started thinking about this concept several years ago. I realized that when the ice caps melt, that water has to find its level. So basically, what would happen, and you know, when you would hear about how much the sea levels would rise, it kind of varies between several feet or multiple meters. So basically, I was anticipating that New York would be like Venice. Uh-huh. So what happened is I was working on this, and then the month that it came out, the superstorm Sandy hit New York. And so we literally had a situation that was exactly like what happens in the book. Now, in the book, I actually drew my son as the main character, Crosby, and he did the hip hop song Post York that's on the flexi disc that's included. But
how do you use that flexi disc?
Oh, it just goes on a record player.
Oh, all right then.
But you can also go to postyork.com and download the song for free. But it's good if you buy the book. But basically, what happened is, where I live, I live a few blocks away from him. So I live on Avenue A, and there was no flooding, and that's Zone 3. But where my son lives, a few blocks away on Avenue C, is Zone 1. And when he came out of his door that morning, the water's up to your neck. So literally, he was living in a situation that was exactly like what I drew.
If you're claustrophobic, that got to be a nightmare right there.
Well, it was bad, and it took, we all lost power for whatever. I came from upstate, so I'm used to losing the power, but really, like, people nowadays, just melt down, and if everything's, fortunately, we're still making these, hard copy books, which I would advise, because if everything's on computers, if the lights go out, baby, there's nothing to read, you know what I mean?
And if there's nothing to read, then
we all get bored, and say...
And all work and no play make people bored and go crazy. Well, seeing as you're trying to recover from lost technology and lost complacence, what type of book would this be? Dystopic or an optimistic apocalypse?
Well, it tends to be optimistic, but I'm not going to look at that bleak. I think people... In terms of New Yorkers are very resilient. But I think generally speaking, people are resilient and they'll deal with whatever comes down the line. But, it depends on if we were coming from a situation here where we have plenty of everything. There's other places in the world where these kind of disasters happen all the time and people are starving, and the next thing you know, there's diseases and, I don't know. We're just all going to have to learn how to deal with these kind of possibilities.
Mind if we take a look at this, the art inside? So can you tell me a little bit more about the main character, who's based on your son?
Well, this main character, actually a lot of the first part of this is wordless because he's on his own. There's nobody to talk to. So
wow.
I kind of drew this in a sort of improvised process where I wasn't completely sure how the story was going to end. And so this particular issue has a break where the story ends one way and then it switches and there's an alternative ending because any moment you could be walking down the street and you make one decision and you keep going on your way, or if you make the wrong kind of choice and you're flat on your ass on the street. So I don't know.
So there's an alternative ending, but I noticed
multiple possibilities of reality. So.
Well, I noticed this is issue 1 of Post York, which meaning you're going to continue the story somewhere down the line. Does that mean?
So yeah, for Post York number 2, then I'm going to take the 2 endings of this and split it off into 2 more forks, so there'll be 4 parallel storylines.
Oh wait, so there's not going to be a situation where one canon ending from this book splits off into another book.
Yeah, so then the next issue after that would have to be really thick, a giant 80-page giant. You have all these different threads of forks of possibilities.
Do you foresee an end to this story, or this is just going to keep going on?
No, it's just like with life. You really never know how anything's going to happen, and the best thing could be around the corner of the worst. Who knows?
When is this book available?
Oh, this book's available right now.
But when can where can
The
I-
next one, I'm kind of finishing something else first, but next in 2014 there'll be a number 2.
This is your number 2? And where can our viewers can get these books?
Where?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you can either get it online through uncivilizedbooks.com, or hopefully your local comic shop carries it. If they don't, ask them to.
We definitely will keep the suggestion in mind, man.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. This has been Carlos Abdu for Bookshelf, signing off. Peace.